Hey everybody, this is Vincent Michah'El, and today is Rosh HaShanah, as we're commanded to make an offering by fire unto the Lord. And these two books, though they look like Bibles, it's disguised like that on purpose. This book is called The Game,
Yeah, it's good.
and this book is called The Rules of the Game.
It's good.
Honestly, these are two of the worst books that you could ever purchase. If you're a guy and you have them, you need to get rid of them. And I've been waiting for the right day in order to do this, and because it's a new year, it's time to get rid of them. So what are these books? By the way, these books are instruction manuals on how to manipulate women and to do more than just get a mate. And when the two guys who wrote this book, when they first started writing this book, their objective was to just get a date. But the more they studied, the more they found out that they could actually manipulate women into sleeping with them. And I feel this is 100% against God. Oh, and by the way, it works, guys. Like, the contents within this book absolutely work. It is absolutely not a joke. And again, if you have these books in your house, you need to get rid of them. They are not what God wants us to be doing for our women.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go for it.
Do you think any of this is related to sex magic? Have you heard of that?
No, actually I haven't. I don't know what that is.
From what I understand, Aleister Crowley practiced it. And so it's just a way to, and I don't know much about it, I don't at all, except I just know that it's the way that they use sex and magic to perform, what is the word? Basically just to gain power.
I think, when, like I said in the beginning, when the two guys who wrote the book started out, I really think that they were sincere in wanting to know and understand how women work and how they tick and what women want in a man, but it grew to be beyond that. Man, this thing just doesn't want to burn, guys. Like, I know you can tell some of the pages are trying to go, and try not to warp the lens, so don't get too close. But, like, it could be that it's just damp and humid outside too.
It is cleverly disguised like a Bible. It's got the gold leafing like a lot of the King James and other translations have, and it has this little marker like a lot of the Bibles have. Do you think that's the pig leather?
Oh, that's funny. Probably. So this book also was turned into a TV show. So if you guys have ever seen the TV show called The Game, the two guys that were on the show, if I remember right, they were the two that wrote the book, first two guys.
Do you want to tell a story on how you realized what it was really about?
So hopefully that just starts taking off. This thing's going to smolder for like a month. So how I came across this book, I was done with my divorce, and I had a relationship that I was in that just devastated me after my divorce, and my confidence was shot. I was very sick and tired of the church. I was sick and tired of, I was just angry at God. I was angry that, we're called to be doing XYZ for the Lord, preaching the gospel and bringing the word to the needy. And I was at the time, I was really sick of the church, just sick of it. And so I went to the self-help section in the bookstore, and to be honest, guys, it was multiple bookstores that I went to, and I had seen this book lying around at a couple different stores, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to give this a shot. Oh, I had this other book. As a matter of fact, I probably should burn that one too, but I don't know where that went. I think I gave it away to somebody.
Oh, that's good. Spreading
Yeah.
the good news.
Oh no, I remember. I did give it away to a friend and told her that the book was dangerous and what kind of signs to watch out for. And guys, that book was called The A Game, and it meant alpha game. And so these books are designed really to teach you how to be an alpha male, and how to deal with other alpha males, and how to alpha other alpha males. These things just don't want to burn. It's crazy. I feel like even if I set a matchbook on fire, this thing's not even going to go. So, when I was reading the Alpha Male book, I felt like it was diet. It wasn't like real grit. Like, it was more the theory of, hey, this is what could happen. But it's like most stuff in the Bible, from hearing from pastors talk, they're like, oh yeah, this is what you need to do, and this is what's going on, and you should be doing this. But there's no how. Like the how part is always left out to me when I listen to pastors and some rabbis. The how part. The doing is like the reading is the easy part. The application is not so much. So these books actually go into great detail about the how of things. There, now it's starting to go. I feel like this could run a summer camp. Do you have any other questions while I'm doing this?
Well, you talked about finding it, coming across it.
Mm-hmm.
But what are some flags for people to know when they picked up something that is not of God? Possibly witchcraft.
Well, I can tell you one thing that just came to mind when you said that. If you're single women and you're out and there's a man that walks in and he's accompanied by more than one woman and he's dressed awkwardly, it's called peacocking. If he's dressed that it doesn't make sense, he might be wearing a crazy hat, he might be wearing a crazy jacket, and it doesn't make sense with his outfit. The whole idea is to call to attention. That's the reason for it. Some guys have on the back side of their hand or on their wedding ring, it's a heart. It says PUA on it. Some have it, some don't. It means pickup association. And it also means pickup artist. And so, in other words, if a guy comes to a table, so if I was out with my wife and the guy put his hands on the table because he's leaning over and he's trying to identify, it's giving the other guy the opportunity to say, hey, I'm a PUA as well. So it's a respect thing. So if the guy's a PUA, the guy comes over to the table's a PUA, it's like, hey, back off. And usually the guy will be really respectful, and like they'll sit down and the code is that if that guy comes over and finds out that I'm a PUA, his responsibility is then to enhance me, and he works as my wingman at that point. So instead of him trying to take over the conversation, he's trying to build me up. So that's a flag. What else could it be? They have associations in every single city. They're very much an underground movement. How I got out of it was the first day when I officially got into it. There was a men's meeting. I found this thing online that they said that this is what they were going to do. And I was like, I need to go to this. And there was a table full of us, around maybe 15 guys. The guy at the head of the table looked like Chandler from Friends. And they forced you, as soon as you got there, you couldn't even go to the meeting unless you talked to two women that week. When they were going around the table, everybody had to tell their two stories of their two women. And When it got to me, I had talked to 24 people within the week. And so after we were done talking, and we were sharing pointers on how to talk to women, we were told to go inside and that each of us were going to be watched. We were going to be watched by 2 other guys that were in association. While he was talking, this other guy came down and started making a fuss and tried to out-alpha everybody there. And what was really crazy about it is that the place that we were at, there were two bouncers that were there that were actually in the association that actually went through all of this already. So they were like initiated. And they picked the guy up and left. And I was like, what was that about? And the guy said, oh, they're PUAs too. And I was like, holy crap. So it was like, we had no idea like what kind of thing we were walking into. So I went in. We were asked if we wanted to partner up with somebody or go alone. So I chose to go alone, and I crashed 2 bachelorette parties that night. And just by exercising the tricks that were in this book, like I didn't take anybody home with me. I just like discovered that there was so much power and authority that were in this book. I was like, this is not for me. I can't do this because I have a morality and a holy obligation to not do these things. So the day that I went in was the day that I went out. So that was kind of my story on that. Do you have anything else that you want to ask?
Not that I can think of. We have about 2 more minutes on my battery.
Looking at this, like this stuff is just smoldering. It just doesn't want to go.
That's gonna need a lot more prayer.
Yeah. Father, I ask you to receive this offering. I wish the smoke wasn't blowing at me. Excuse me. I ask you to receive this offering, and I ask you to take away all the garbage that was in my life regarding this. Lord, I do repent of this. Father, I thank you for saving me, sending your Son to save me. You know, when this kind of stuff doesn't burn like this, it makes you wonder what kind of principality is like really mixed in with this kind of thing. It mixed in with my stupidity and not understanding how fire works. Because I know this stuff is all closed up, so let's try to do this.
Science, people.
Right? Ooh, that's hot.
Alright, got about 2 more minutes so we can keep this burning.
Well, guys, thank you for participating and watching me do this stuff. I highly suggest that if the Lord has a commandment in the Word that you're supposed to make an offering, do what it says. Make the offering. Do what's required of you in the Torah. And if you're one of those people that like, oh, we're not under the law. Look, guys, Yeshua is the law, and he's not going to go against himself. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So when God opens his mouth, you have to be careful that you're not worshiping the words that come out of his mouth, but you're worshiping the Father who spoke the words. I know that's kind of like an advanced teaching for people, but it's not really talked about behind the pulpit. If the whole entire idea is that Mashiach comes to reconcile us to the Father, then we need to be paying attention to the Father. And if he has rules and regulations for us to abide by on this planet that he made for us, just because you don't understand it doesn't mean you shouldn't be doing it. So if he says to make an offering by fire, you know, yes, there is animal sacrifice to be done by fire too, but this is a sacrifice that I'm doing about my own heart and my own spirit. This is led. I was led to do this. This was not something that I'm doing because I thought it was a good idea.
Or your wife made you.
Or my wife made me.
And he's had this before we were married, and he's been talking about doing this for a while. Yom Kippur is coming up, so it's a day of atonement, restoring, God breaking and mending.
Oh wait.
We have a 1-minute marker, but I am reminded of in Acts where they burned all their books of witchcraft, all their everything. And even though my husband does not practice, and he has not practiced anything in here, he still had remnants of it. So that's going now. All right, 30 seconds.
Okay, so last thing is I would say is that for guys, if you're wanting to understand, like as a good example of what an alpha male should look like, read Proverbs 31. Every time that a word says that she is like this and her husband is like this, don't pay attention to the husband part, pay attention to the she part or her part. And understand that the whole idea of Proverbs 31 is that's the reflection of what the church is like. And that we should be behaving how the church is like, and that our husband is Yeshua HaMashiach. Okay?
Thank you. Bye.
Shalom.